Hi, I'm Sonia Dio,
And I'm Lisa Brown.
and we're here with the Friday afternoon wrap.
Friday night wrap.
It's still afternoon.
Just to let you know, I didn't tell you yet, but I set up a Gmail account. So we have Gmail now. It's called FridayNightWrap@gmail.com.
But it's 5:22, which means it's the afternoon.
Right, but we're calling it Friday Night Wrap.
Okay, then.
Yeah, so it is Friday Night Wrap. So you can find us, you can email us, and we're just getting the show going, so the first few segments are slower. But leave us comments.
Indeed, and you have to send us questions and comments so that we actually have something to respond to you about.
Right, and we did get our first question, and I don't have it in front of me from who sent the question, so we'll get more organized with that. But they wanted to know if we cover finances, and it depends what kind of finances you're talking about. If you're talking about a personal budget and how to use a budget and maybe use some of the software like Quicken for keeping track of your checkbook and creating a budget, then yes, we handle those things. If you're wanting to know what's the best funds to put your retirement money into, we do not handle that sort of thing.
And from a legal perspective, there isn't really a whole bunch that I do that involves finances other than teach you how to decrease your liability and perhaps deal with your wages and hours with your employees.
And we're also going to be getting like an intro and some background music and stuff. So we're just getting the show going. So the first few will be shorter, and then we'll get topics going and things of that nature. But we just want you to know we're here on Fridays.
And please send us your questions and comments once again. We're a wealth of knowledge, and we want to give it away to you.
Yep, FridayNightWrap@gmail.com or post here at the YouTube site. So today's topic, we were thinking of talking about...
We were talking about employment agreements, weren't you?
Yes, employment agreements. I was just letting you go.
Okay. Well, as far as employment agreements go, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut are all adult states, which means that you don't have to give any sort of contract to any employee.
Okay. But given that if I'm an employee and employer, what should I do?
Well, the law requires that you have some sort of writing that states what the hourly rate of your employee is going to be. That is all the law actually requires besides your typical tax forms to check immigration status and things like that with employees. What I recommend people do is this. If you're going to make a job offer to someone and you want to put that to them in writing, you need to have a real disclaimer in there that says this is not an employment contract, that the terms and conditions that are stated herein may be changed at any time by the employer. And then put in your basic terms if that's what you want to do, if that's what you need to do to bring in that particular candidate to your job.
Okay, yes, and then of course with that letter, from the accounting perspective and payroll, is you have a W-4 form and a 9-9 form. And the W-4 form just basically gets the employee information, their social security number, their address, and most importantly, what type of withholdings do they want, which means how much taxes are going to be withheld from the check. And the smaller the number, the higher the taxes are withheld, the smaller the paycheck. The larger the withholding number, the larger the paycheck, the smaller the taxes. So where this becomes a problem is if you don't withhold enough taxes, you will end up not getting a refund at the end of the year. Mostly you will end up having to pay. So we recommend that if you're one person, claim 001, and if you're married, filing joint, you and your spouse split the number of children and claim yourself. And there's a worksheet too that goes along with it. And then the I-9 form is basically verification that you are a U.S. resident or legal alien and are able to work in this country, and it also takes your date of birth, which is important because the I-9 form is used for reporting purposes for the state. That's where you get your figures about how many people have been hired for the month, and then they compare that with unemployment. So these forms are both important, not only for yourself, for your tax withholdings, but it's where we get all this information you hear in the news about, like, how many people were hired and where the employment rate's going and unemployment and all that stuff.
And I don't know about you, Lisa, but I have access to E-Verify to run those sort of services for the employers that come to me to make certain that their employees actually are authorized to work in the United States, which in and of itself gets to be interesting because if any of their information doesn't exactly match what is in the E-Verify system, they'll be kicked out. There's a whole appeals process that has to go through.
Wow.
Just ran into that. Very, very interesting.
Well, what's the story behind that?
Had a woman that applied to Target and used her middle name, last name with a hyphen. It didn't match what the IRS had, and it kicked back. And actually, she ended up working there a couple of weeks and lost her job.
Wow. So they just didn't take any chances, or, you know, why did she? I wonder why she used her different last name.
You know, people do things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as a lawyer, what I would tell you if you are going to go forth and change your name is to make certain. You know, in Rhode Island, you can do it. You can just change your name. The largest problem is really dealing with the IRS and DMV and those sort of things. And in order to do that, you've got to file the probate paperwork. But frankly, you can just change your name as long as you're not doing it for any illegal purpose. And I think that's kind of what happened with her, is that she got used to using a different name, hadn't actually changed it, and went in there, filled out the application, filled out the I-9 form, and it got kicked back.
And they probably had to e-verify and do that.
Oh, I know it was e-verify.
Yeah. We have a program where we can go and verify Social Security numbers and everything for clients that do payroll. If they're not sure they got the right information from the employee, then we can run that. So it's basically like e-verify.
Yeah, well, I mean, the bottom line as an employer is you just need to make certain you have the information. If the employee gives you the wrong information, until somebody actually tells you that there's a problem with that, you don't have any liability.
Right, and the biggest thing that can happen without an e-verify is when they do the W-2s or the 1099s at the end of the year, then it will get spit back that it's the wrong Social Security number and stuff. And sometimes it's innocent mistakes. The biggest ones I see is people just write the wrong number down, transpose the number, or they're filling out forms, and then it's corrected.
Right, but in any instance, as long as the employer has taken the steps to fill out the correct form, there's no liability for them.
Yeah, so that's some interesting information here. So, did you have any good stories this week?
Well, I always have good stories.
Yeah, they were a good one.
You know, I actually can't think of anything right off the top of my head that wouldn't be breaking attorney-client privilege. Nothing terribly fun and exciting, I'm sorry.
So this is a very terribly fun and exciting week.
No, this was a terribly fun and busy week. There was no excitement.
So how about you? How was your week this week? We'd like to know. Do you have any good stories to tell? Because we want to talk about them here with the idea of the show eventually going live. So when we're sitting here, we'll be in real time with you and can take phone calls in and things. So we're just trying to get it going here. My week has been just crazy, too. Being a small business owner, that's always a good topic.
And it never ends. I end up working in the middle of the night, working in the early morning. I swear to you, probably 20% of my time is spent just doing operations.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a two-person shop. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing to me that that's the case. And it's amazing to me that there's people that won't cooperate with the systems I have set up, even being a two-person shop.
Gee, because you probably have such good systems.
Such good systems.
And that's a good topic,
Indeed.
is systems and filing systems. Well, in accounting, we're kind of boring, but basically we have systems down. You know, like we follow a universal accounting language, we follow a filing system. And what I recommend is when you set up a filing system, especially these days everybody keeps stuff online more, like they have PDFs instead of paper files. We, in particular with tax returns, keep both still. We have paper and we have it in PDF. But naming convention for files is a good one.
Yeah, I actually put everything in a client folder.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do, you know, say John Smith, and everything that involves John Smith goes in the John Smith folder.
Right, and we do that too. That's instead of breaking it up by work type, you definitely want to have client folders for every one of your clients and everything in it. And then when we file them online, I use the same naming convention, so no matter how many clients and stuff you have, like we'll have last name and first letter. It's just not first name here, last name there. And then within the file, everything's dated by year, month, and day, and then like a description so that they sort and order and stay together with each year, because you might have multiple year information with clients.
Yeah, I don't need to get that fancy, but I do need to use, I always use the client's names, because if I ever lose the folder or anything, I can go in and just type in the name, search it, and it'll pop up.
Yeah, we get stuff by years, and you might have to grab a bunch of files and send them somewhere, especially with like payroll and monthly bookkeeping, closings, and tax returns.
I was thinking about one thing. Not that our audience so much goes into Rhode Island as it does here in Massachusetts, but one of the things I discovered earlier this week is that if you have a worker that reports for a shift, you have to pay them 3 hours. And what I had is a particular company that I filed suit against who was doing split shifts. They had an employee coming in for 5 hours and then, going away for 2 hours and coming back and performing 1 more hour of work. And on behalf of that particular client, I'm actually going against this rather large corporate, trying to get them to pay the 3 hours for the second report.
Wow, that's interesting. Now, that is something I did not know. So that's what we're here for, is different things come out. One thing being in business, too, no matter what business, you get, like, a certain thing that you do all the time. And so we try not to keep in a rut of always being expert in one area, but we try to know a little bit of information around. And what's important with that, too, is having a good resource database to look up information. But that's something I haven't come across before.
What do you mean with respect to the
3 hours?
And the same law exists in Massachusetts, although it's construed a little bit differently from what I gathered. But you have to be very careful. If you're going to bring an employee in, you're going to turn them away immediately. You've got to pay them for 3 hours.
Wow.
So don't do that.
Absolutely. Do
have
not
them
do
work
that.
3 hours. Unless rain nor sleet nor snow. Acts of God.
Okay.
That's the exception. But if you're bringing somebody in that just isn't work, you've got to find them work.
For at least 3 hours. That's good. That is a very good fact to know.
The other thing that goes through my head today, the other thing I've been dealing with, is you need to make certain that you've got your equal opportunity employment policies in effect, and your harassment policies, and all of those other things.
And when you say equal opportunity employment policies, you mean like having a poster up, or?
Well, yeah. I mean, there are state posters and federal posters that you are mandated as an employer to have up, kind of like you're supposed to put up the comp posters and all that, too.
Yeah.
Which not everybody does. But if the Department of Labor walks in and you don't have them, they'll be very upset. So you want to have them or you'll get fined. But I'm talking more along the lines of you need to have your employees sign a policy each year, the non-discrimination policy, and you need to ensure that to the best of your ability you enforce that policy. As far as it goes, anybody that employs anyone is subjected to those laws, maybe not in the federal perspective, but certainly in the state perspective. And I got to tell you, I can end up with an employer in just as much trouble for violating state law as federal law.
Wow.
So.
And that's also promo for our company that we do.
Sure.
We do human resources. It is an offshoot of the payroll, and basically it's a manual on what to do and advice if you're, doesn't matter what size company you are, from 1 or 2 employees to 50 to 500, that you need to have certain things in place. Going back to, you need to have some kind of, not a contract, but an employee agreement that clearly states what the job description is, what the salary is going to be.
I disagree with that.
Not with the job description.
You
or
have to
salary.
you have to have a document that sets forth the rate of pay for a person, whether they
Right.
are salary exempt or salary not exempt, which is a whole other story.
Well, what I'm thinking about is one of my clients is having an issue with someone, and it's over job description.
Good luck.
So maybe it's not a legal
It's
issue,
not a legal issue.
but I
you
think
want to
it,
fight about job description, hey, great, but it's not.
But I'm thinking more in terms of maybe it's just a best practices, sort of like this is what the job is and this is what the job pays. So you're not walking in blindly. So
Yeah.
you have an outline of
Here's
this
the
is
thing.
what your responsibilities and what's expected of you, which ties into down the line if you're disciplining someone, you can go
Exactly.
back and say, well, this is what was expected of you. Is this disciplinary inaction valid or not? So I'm
Yeah.
thinking more in those terms.
Yeah, well, and that's very true. And you need to, if you're disciplining an employee, you need to document that. I tell people, document. Put it all in writing, and enforce the policies that you have. If you have a policy that says, hey, you don't come to work for 4 days, you get fired, you need to enforce that policy. I mean, in most instances, there are exceptions, and you've always got to watch out for things like the Americans with Disabilities Act and FMLA and the mass versions of those statutes. But generally speaking, coming to work is really part of the job description.
No, really?
Yeah, I don't
we
know.
have to do that? Can I just sit
You
at
do.
home and
Sometimes you
meditate
gotta
and
tell people
fantasize?
that.
I am here at work. You know, my astral plane, my body just astral planed over to work, and there I am sitting at my desk.
There you are. No, I mean, and it seems like you shouldn't have to tell an employee that they have to actually come to work, but you kind of do.
Yeah.
I kind of see that as a non-negotiable issue.
As Joey's home gaming today, yes, Joey, you need to be working.
Yeah, and my assistant shows up to work when she wants to. I never said that. But I did say it. She knows I say that. She knows I feel that way. But whatever your policies are, you know, first of all, it's really important that you run them by somebody. Whether you're running them by us or you're running them by some other council, you need to do that because there's things that can run astray, things like the National Labor Relations Act and all sorts of other things that you as an employer and me as a person other than doing what I'm doing would have absolutely no idea of.
Yeah, and it doesn't take much time, but it can save a lot of time in the long run.
It can save a lot of money. You know, I look at things in terms of money, not time. Time is cheap.
I know.
Money's
You're a
real
lawyer.
expensive.
I think of time.
Money is really expensive.
I think of the time and aggravation involved because, like, being a small business accountant, a lot of my stuff is like sitting down with clients and hearing about what's going on and where they're at. It's kind of like accounting therapy 101 or something. So I hear a lot of stuff, so I try to come up with
You don't have your
game plans.
certificate yet?
I do not have the certificate, but I was thinking of going for an MSW. I think that would tie in good.
Yeah, I mean, I have I got the psychology degree, which helps a lot.
Do you have a psychology degree?
I do.
Sonia has a psychology degree. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So if you ever want to come into my office,
Gunslinging, boot-wearing lawyer here.
Just cry your eyes out. It happens all the time.
I sort of have a minor in psychology because I took all the stuff, but then I didn't want to finish the major in it. I switched back to accounting.
I had that problem with sociology.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, because they switched it all. Like, they used to have social anthropology. That's what I liked. I liked the fact that I could go to Africa and sit where someone sat 50 million years ago, you know, and where they have the dried riverbeds, and you can look at this footprint and see it and touch it and realize that someone was there like 28 million years ago, right where you are, but they were probably being chased by some very large creature. Not a dinosaur, 'cause they weren't around then,
Well,
but
they were
still
sitting, they were
large
being
creatures.
chased?
Well, they were standing there, but it's a footprint for crying out loud. I don't know what the heck they were doing.
Yeah.
But anthroanthropic.
I don't know what the heck that means. I do know that
It's Lucy's the world's oldest female, and she's from Africa. We all came from Africa, but that's another topic for a different day.
Probably.
We did, and then the land brought up. It's like Pangea, then it brought out.
And what any of this
the
has
Bering
to do with
Strait
running a
before.
business, I have no idea. But
It makes the show entertaining.
Really.
Because this is what happens in small business. You end up having talks like this. And then you get, somehow employment law with Lucy, the world's oldest woman, just kind of goes together.
She probably was discriminated against.
She probably was. Yeah, that would be kind of interesting.
If you think about it, back in the days, the guys were the hunters and the women were the gatherers, and that was illegal discrimination.
I wonder if somebody can tell us, if there are any tribes that they know of besides Clan of the Cave Bear, which is books, like in real tribes. I wonder, that would be a good trivia question, like what tribes of people were matriarchal? There had to be some matriarchal.
Well, there were the
tribes.
Amazon women, right?
Yes, there was.
I'm thinking of Wonder Woman there with her invisible jet and the bracelets.
Okay.
And we just lost half our audience who has no idea what I'm talking about.
She's dating herself there.
Yeah, just a little bit. I can picture that.
I can really date myself. Yeah. But that would be good, some closer ones. And then there's still indigenous tribes now that we keep encroaching upon their environment, so they're really not, isolated anymore. But
You mean like the New Yorkers?
well, that could be, New York could work. I'm thinking down in South America, There was a tribe down there, I took it in social anthropology, and I'm forgetting everything, where the women did make a lot of the decisions. The men worked, but the women were the decision makers. And honestly, that's really not much different than today. We were just talking about men, right?
What do you mean, that we're the decision makers?
Really, we wear the pants. Even in houses where they were, male-dominated, patriarchal, 50s, the Cleaver family. At the end of the day, the women still run the show.
The fact of the matter is that if I don't say we're doing X, we don't do anything.
Right. So who's running the show?
I don't want to run the show.
But you are running the
I
show.
know, I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Yeah.
So there's a tip for you. Run the show.
Mm-hmm.
Just, I don't know, what else to really talk about here?
I don't know. I think we did a good show for, our second little show here. I'm not even sure how many minutes. Oh, it's 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was thinking it would be, like 20 minutes.
All right.
That's good. And we'll bring up different discussions, and you never know where it's going to lead to.
Well, we're here.
Mm-hmm. We are here.
And I don't know about you, but I've got pretty well an open consult policy. You can always call me and talk to me for a little bit. And
yes, now we're going to plug ourselves. Why don't you give a plug in your website address?
Oh, there's really no plug to give. My website is the-straight-shooter.com. And, my plug is I'm a damn good lawyer. I know what I'm doing.
He is, actually.
I do my job. I try to be inherently practical. My goal is to keep what you pay me down, which makes little or no sense. I should really have a different goal than that.
No, because that's not lawyer-like.
No, it's not at all. But honestly, I look at it as you can go to a huge firm. You can. And you can pay $500 an hour if that's what you want to do, but you don't need to do that. You can come to me, you'll get the same service. Matter of fact, you probably get better service. And, you just go to the bottom.
Very good.
There you go.
Okay, now I'm going to promote myself. My name is Lisa Brown, which I hate saying my name, but there it is. My website is lab-llc.com, and we have all the information. We're a small business accounting firm. You deal with me directly. I've been in corporations for before I started this, 25 years, 28 years, something like that. So this is everything that I always dreamed of wanting with a little firm. And you can come in to have coffee even. I do a free consultation.
Make sure you bring coffee.
Yeah, because I'm out of coffee today, but I have tea. I have Tezo Zen tea, and it's actually really good with what's in it. But basically, we do a consultation. It runs about an hour and a half. It's comprehensive and it's free, so you can get a lot of information out of it. And we handle everything that's on the website, from soup to nuts for your small business. And if you're an individual, we do budget counseling. We have classes in QuickBooks and Quicken, and also we have support groups that we just started. For individuals, there's a support group on Thursday night, and on Tuesday night, you don't know this. I'm just starting
Certainly not.
I forgot to put it on. Just put it on the website. But basically, it follows the class. So you can take the class and sit for the support group if you want, and it's just, we have coffee and tea. We pick a topic. I'll have a topic discussion on it. We do a 15-minute meditation, meditating and clearing our minds, and then come back to the topic afterwards and share our, closing thoughts on it. So that the QuickBooks and Quicken classes run an hour and 15, and the meditation classes run an hour and 15. So we're really going to push that now and start it in the summer, but we figure it'll probably be busier in the fall.
No problem.
So lab-llc.com. Come visit us. Say hi. Send us an email to FridayNightWrap@gmail.com.
Bring coffee.
And bring coffee. I'm dying for some coffee right now. I have to go get coffee. She doesn't like coffee anymore.
I can do coffee with cream and sugar now.
Oh, can you?
Yeah, if you're going to bring me coffee, cream and sugar.
Because I was going to tell you that sometimes, it hasn't happened for 5 or 6 years, but there used to be every few years, 3 to 5 years, I would get this thing where coffee made me nauseous. And then it would pass after a couple of weeks, and I'd be fine again.
I think what happened is I was going to a set Dunkin' Donuts, and they were using the pots for the flavored coffees in the regular coffee, and I think that's what turned me off.
Oh, yeah, that's disgusting.
Yeah, I'm a New Englander. I like my coffee as coffee. Thank you.
Okay, with that, it's a wrap. In fact, it's a Friday night wrap. Bye. I see you next week.